Hi, it's been a while. I have been all over the place, not in the physical way of speaking, but more the mental side. Before I start anything, I do have my fan on. It is 26 degrees outside, and in here it feels like more. And I tried turning it off, but as soon as I turned it off, it was a no. So we're going with a fan. I did just record a little clip to see whether you could hear me still, and you could. So I'm hoping that stays that way throughout the video. We will see though. But yeah, it's one of them days, and I don't want to not film just because it's hot, because my head actually feels like sitting down and speaking today, so that's what we're going with. I also want to give a little trigger warning because I am going to be talking about my mental health and everything that kind of revolves around that to some extent. I'm not going to go deep into things in this video. It's not what this video is. This is a hi, hello, it's been basically a year and I'm getting there sort of video. If you're in a space yourself where you don't want to hear about mental health things and ups and downs and everything, then this is your pre-warning that I am going to be talking about that sort of stuff. So yeah, I don't really know where to start with this video. It's been quite a few months since I uploaded onto my channel, and there were times where I was like, do I even come back? Is there any point? Because I honestly just don't really know where I'm at with videos right now. The last video uploaded on here was a very dippy sort of headspace update. I've not watched it since I uploaded it, and I can't remember exactly what I said in it. I don't really want to watch it again, but I do know that obviously I was talking about the fact that I needed to change some things, and at that point I wasn't planning on completely going MIA from my channel and my social media and anything like that. I thought I could still manage it, and I couldn't. 2022 in general, just like as a summary, was 100% the worst year of my life. And I feel like even saying that, it sounds very dramatic, but I think I spent a lot of my time this year kind of just going over last year's events and things that happened to me, and there's things that are obviously in my head that I'd completely forgotten about, because it took me going through things in more of a chronological way, where I would go back through my phone and go through photos, and things would trigger in my head. I'm like, oh yeah, that happened too, no wonder this then happened, and all that sort of stuff. I had my ADHD diagnosis in December 2021, and I thought I'd be good, and you know, diagnosis, yeah, I know what things are now, what's going on in my head. I didn't quite grasp what was going on in my head. I started medication and that journey, and that definitely threw me off the ball. I have never experienced my mental health like I experienced it whilst I was on medication, or like trialing different doses of medication for ADHD. I also had other factors that went into the struggles in 2022. They're two things that I don't really want to massively go into detail on, but I also don't want to just skip by them as if they weren't. One being just my personal life and family house dynamic. That was really, really hard. I did make a post in the summer about my ceiling coming down. That was like the you know, sugarcoat of everything, because obviously off the back of that there was then a lot of stress and tension within the household. So yeah, that was incredibly difficult. I was also in a very unhealthy relationship, and I think it's taken quite a few months for me to be able to say it in that way, because I don't think he would have agreed with me, and that was part of the problem. So yeah, I was not in a good mental space, I was not in a good physical space, I was not in a good relationship, and I was not in a good like house dynamic throughout 2022. So work went tits up. Yeah, it was not great. When the ceiling came down was when I had to really sort of stop working, and that was in August time. I did luckily get my collage sheets and stuff sorted in the summer for like October, November and stuff like that, so I had my Patreon still running until the end of last year, and then I had to pause that. I think I had that pause from January to March. I think I came back in April. In January I did end up getting therapy. I had 12 weeks of therapy with a really good therapist. I've never had therapy work for me. I don't really know how to say it, because I feel like all my therapy sessions I've had in the past have helped, but I think because I didn't have the understanding of like the ADHD and stuff, it didn't really work, because it was all quite temporary. Whereas now I've realised where my like issues are and my faults are, and I also know how to help myself for my brain, not for someone else's brain, which is what it felt like I was doing a lot of the time when I did therapy in the past. It's a hard headspace to accept that 2022 was horrendous and the worst year, but with everything that happened, somehow I've come out the other side in one of like the best headspaces I've ever been, like I've ever had. Like this head that I have on my shoulders is my favourite. I do still struggle, even though I'm on meds, with my day-to-day and managing myself and just generally getting things done, I suppose. Where I'm at right now is the worst in terms of my money, my job, where I want to be in life. Like, it's from like an outside perspective, because obviously a lot of things trickle off of money, work. It means then I can't really socialise as much as I want. I'm not able to afford things, and there's stresses between those sorts of things. But despite all of those things, I am the happiest me, or version of me, that I've ever been. So I think meds definitely have a role in that. I've never felt motivation in terms of just doing things, even stuff I enjoy, like I have when I've been on meds. And I didn't have a smooth medication journey like a lot of people share on social media about ADHD, where they say they take meds and they have that like realization moment where they go, how did I live like that before, and is this what, you know, neurotypical brains live like? I didn't have that. I had a little moment of that, but it didn't stick. And then I had some very bad side effects with the meds. I had a few serious anxiety issues with it. There was just a lot of like ups and downs. But the way that the meds work for me now, now I'm getting that like, how did I do things before? And is this genuinely how people feel when they feel motivated to do stuff? Because everything's so much easier. With saying that though, I don't want it to come across as if like everything's perfect now, because it is not. I have about a couple of hours, maybe 3 in the morning after my meds have kicked in, where I feel very motivated to do stuff, and then it gets very overwhelming because I get motivated to do lots of things and I have to try and prioritise not the things that should be done all the time, because I've been living my life a lot up until this point going by what I think should be done or what I need to do, and a lot of the time those shoulds and needs are in my head. They're based off of other people or other outside factors, not because I should or need to do them or want to do them. It's because other people think I should, or there's that societal expectations of I should be doing this. For example, with work, I should be working X amount of hours because that's the expectations of society and how other people work. So I've been very much like going through my head, and when something pops into my head where I go, oh, I should be doing this, I strip it back and go, should I be doing it because I want to do it, or I need to do it, or should I be doing it because someone else thinks I should be doing it, or I think that someone else thinks I should be doing it or need to do it. And it's taken a lot of time for me to get that sort of pause in my head at all, and I still find that quite hard now. Through the whole of last year, I was, I think, gradually unmasking a lot and being more myself, and not putting in all these extra strategies to remember stuff, or not blurt something out, or or not over talk, just like generally doing the day-to-day things and not overcompensating. I think with going through the whole unmasking process though, I became more forgetful, which has been something that I have massively struggled with. And it's not just forgetting where I put things, it's forgetting to eat, it's forgetting to drink, it's forgetting something that someone said to me 2 minutes ago, which I have just remembered. Oh, gas stain. My bad. Oh, that is like a prime example of my memory. Our heating at the moment is, this is a side note, complete and utter tangent, but it does tie into what I'm talking about right now. Our heating at the moment is broken, and we have this immersion heater which is run by electricity, so that's what heats the hot water in the house. Luckily we don't need it obviously for heating right now, but anytime you want hot water, whether that's a shower, or this morning it was because I wanted to wash my face and there wasn't any left over from last night, so I said to my mum, I'm going to put the immersion on for a few minutes to wash my face, and I put it on, and that was 2 hours ago. Only through talking here right now about my memory and trying to think of examples to give you on my forgetfulness at the moment, that has then triggered me to remember that I did not turn it off, and I've just turned it off. So sorry mum if you're watching this. The other example that's coming to mind is my water bottles. I have bought these water bottles from IKEA, which FYI, anyone who's got ADHD and doesn't enjoy the whole, that's a giant water bottle of water, it's too daunting to drink and then doesn't drink it. I have bought 4 of these from IKEA. I've actually bought 12 now, but they're £2.50 each, so they're not horrendous in price. They're 500ml bottles, so 4 of them is like the recommended intake of water. They have handles on the top, so I can carry all 4 of them at once if I want to. I have 4 spare and 8 that I rotate, so I bring 4 of them downstairs in the evening, put them in the dishwasher. They're also dishwasherable, which that was another big thing for me, and then I fill up the other ones as my next day bottles, and that's been working pretty well for me at the moment. I've had that going for a few months now. The only time I fell off that wagon was when I lost one of these. What happened is I put it on a shelf in my office and forgot that's where I put it, and it was there for about 2 weeks, and those 2 weeks I barely drank. I didn't drink as much water as I had been because it completely like squiffed up my routine, so I was thrown off and I just didn't do the drinking thing that you have to do to be alive. So I've been doing things like that to try and get new routines and new strategies and stuff in place that work for me and my brain. And even though owning 12 water bottles might seem ridiculous to some, for me having all those water bottles has meant that I've drunk more water in the last 3 months, 4 months, I don't even know how many months into 2023 we are now, however many months. Yeah, I've drunk more consistently than I have in the previous months, so if it works, it works. And I'm definitely caring a lot less about things like that and what people think, and yeah, the caring less about what people think thing has, I think that definitely developed over 2022. Being in a situation where I reached a rock bottom where I genuinely didn't care anymore about myself. I was also in a situation where I was putting someone else's feelings and emotions and decisions above mine and how I felt in the moment. A lot of the things I did in therapy were self-confidence things. I think pairing all those things together has made me realise, and I always said this to my therapist and she always corrected me on things, but I would say I've learned how to be selfish in the best way, and she said, so you've learned how to put yourself first. The only people I really worry about now is my friends and people that I genuinely care about in a like mutual way. I'm definitely in the mindset where there is not an issue between me and other people unless it is spoken. I'm so blunt with things and I'm so heart on my sleeve with things. If there is an issue, I will do my very best to say it and talk to someone about it and not leave it as like a guessing game. I think I've always been like that to some extent. It's just been hard because I've obviously don't want to offend anyone. I don't want to make anyone upset. And I know that not everyone can take a, hey, this made me feel shit, what you said, or that's not okay, that's a boundary I don't want crossed. People get offended by things like that, and back then I would take things like that very personally, and think that I shouldn't have said things, or that I was being mean for voicing something I was not okay with. Nowadays I just don't, it's not a thing in my head really to be concerned about how I'm coming across too much, because if I'm saying something and there's no bad intentions behind it, yes, I can still mess up and say things too blunt or in a way that wasn't quite how I meant it in my head. The people who genuinely care about me and know me will know I didn't mean that and know that I don't have bad intentions. I'm always going to be putting my foot in things, especially now I'm not like overcompensating for how I speak about stuff, or I know I can be blunt. I think I did in the past not always understand why someone would be offended by something that I said or how I said something, because things are quite black and white in my head. I care about the person and I care about sorting something out with them. I'm not someone who's mega like shady about things or beating around the bush. I'm very much spade to spade. That's kind of where my mindset shifted, and I am so much happier with that mindset than the mindset that I had in the past. The main thing that I'm still struggling with now is work. The best way I can put it is I feel very lost with work. I'm very much living at the moment with a doing things that I want to do, going with what my brain wants to do in the moment, and even though I want to do work, I don't know where to start because I've just been out of it for so long. It isn't just a, you have to do things that you don't want to do sort of mindset with my mind. It's very, very difficult. If I'm at the point in the day where my dopamine levels are low, trying to do that when there is no dopamine, which is the motivation part, which is the part that sends messages to your brain to go, hey, let's do this now. If there is nothing there, I can't just give myself like a, hey, if you do this, we'll give you a treat at the end. That doesn't motivate me. I have to try and find something that will give me dopamine to start with, whether that's something sugary or doing something else that I enjoy and makes me happy and gives me a bit of a dopamine boost. I have to figure out how to do that first in order to then do the thing that I'm not so interested in doing for whatever reason, whether that's because I don't know where to start with it or whether it's because it's something I just don't have any interest in doing. I have to find the dopamine elsewhere and then hope that I don't get stuck on whatever task or thing I'm doing that gives me dopamine. That's hard. If I just force myself to do the thing without doing any of that beforehand, that's what I used to be doing when I wasn't diagnosed, and that's the thing that led me to monthly burnout. But managing my brain now I'm still very much learning, and it is still incredibly difficult for me. I also don't journal anymore, and by that I mean I don't do my creative journal. That's not me saying I'm never going to come back to it, but to be blunt, I don't want to journal last year, not now anyway. There are too many triggers with things, and I have to do that in chunks because there is a lot of photos that I don't really want to look over. Yeah, there's lots of reasons why I don't really want to journal in a creative way. I am still journaling to some extent. I have my 1 line a day journal, which I'm a week behind on. Got that to do, but I've been trying to keep up with that because that's something. And I've also had my brain dump journal, so I'm not really journaling. I'm not really like passively making content, and I genuinely find the content creation part really difficult, because even if I spend a few hours creating something that I love, as soon as I post it on social media, there's no guarantee that it would have been worth my time. And by that I mean doing the thing that I'm enjoying is always going to be worth my time, but in a work sense, and obviously I'm at a point where I need to make money sense. The time that I spent creating that content, I could have been doing things for the shop or other things to, you know, make money. So that in itself, like the content creation part of work in my brain, has been really, really hard to do. I've got to a point, I think, where I'm just going to be making whatever the heck I want. Being self-employed and doing this is what I want to do. It's just trying to find a way now to do it where I don't burn out and I don't exhaust myself every day. I've taken a massive break. I've had a massive breakdown, multiple. I've gone through things that I never thought would be in 2022, but I've reached this place now where I am so happy in myself and can understand the meaning of, like, you don't need all these things to be happy. I get that now because I can't afford the things that I used to be able to afford. I have been still struggling a lot each day, but in myself and how I feel about myself, I am so much happier. My main goal at the moment with work is to just not let it become the thing that takes this headspace that I have now away again. I just want to be able to make a stable income for myself so that I don't have loads of money worries, and just enjoying myself in a less anxious, stressed way. That's my only real goal right now, is to just be happy, stable and enjoying things, which I think is relatable for a lot of people. Something I picked up when I wasn't working hobby wise, because I wasn't doing much crafty things anymore, was family history and researching old stuff, social history. I have always enjoyed that sort of thing, but never fully to this extent, and it made me realise that my brain is very well tuned for that sort of thing. I've been able to timeline a lot of things in my family and people in my family to be able to see their entire life on a piece of paper, which has been very, very cool. Off the back of all the family history stuff, I've come across photos because I've spoken to more family members, and they've shown me photos of how the house used to look and the garden. So I've now picked up gardening. I've revamped the garden massively, and I enjoy being out there quite a lot. I've managed to get tan. You may not be able to tell, but for me this is tanned. Going forward with work, I still have my Patreon. That is something I've been incredibly grateful for, and the people who've stuck with me on Patreon, even though I've been very quiet on there as well. So I've posted the collage sheets and stuff, and I've been creating those for my patrons each month, but I haven't really been posting much else because I haven't really been doing much else other than that. It's been very difficult managing it all with my head and trying to get all these new things in place with my head so that I don't end up in the same cycle with work as I did previously. Patreon is still going. I have one tier on there now. It's just the collage sheet tier, I'm going to keep it that way for quite a bit, I think, because I don't want to suddenly overwhelm myself with anything else. My shop is the next thing I want to get back on a roll with, so I will be doing things with that. I've got ephemera that arrived last summer and I started sorting it with the help of my mum and dad. And we actually did that on the dining table whilst my ceiling in here was being plastered. So it was around that time that everything arrived, and I wanted to launch them for Christmas and I couldn't get it all sorted in time. So at some point I will have new ephemera being put on there in the new packaging as well that I got designed and sorted and figured out. But I am going to have to start like selling more things on there because my space in the office at the moment has shrunk because the ceiling in there is now cracking. So that's been another little thing that has made it really hard to work in there because everything's upside down pretty much. In terms of social media, I think that's the thing that's going to be a little all over the place for the foreseeable. I want to get back into creating content for the shop and for Patreon, but I just got to think of different ways of doing it. I love the creative community and all the friends I've made through it, and I just, it's been tricky to do life without that input, because I haven't been on my MyGreenCow account that much. It got to a point where I would go on there and feel sad because I couldn't do the things that I was able to do, whether that's mentally or physically, because I didn't have space in the room because ceiling situation and moving rooms around and stuff. Like I couldn't just do the things I wanted to do creatively. So seeing other people doing things and seeing all these like challenges and stuff that everyone was doing, it just made me feel sad, and so I didn't go on there as much. Now I feel like I've been so detached from it for so long that I don't really know what anyone's doing. I don't know, do people still journal? Are we still journaling? I'm not. I am, but I'm not. I am hoping that you guys will still enjoy things even though it's a bit different. I just want to feel more comfortable and happy doing this rather than stressed and all over the place with it. And I think it's going to be a little while until I've figured out what that exactly looks like for me, but I don't want to be MIA that entire time whilst I'm figuring it out. So we're going to figure it out as we go, and yeah, and that's where I'm at. I have genuinely missed talking to you guys, and some of the messages, I'll hold it together because I've got like 2 more sentences to say. That's a lie, I don't ever say 2 sentences. Yeah, the messages I've got from you guys and from people who have been supporting me and watching MyGreenCow become what it's become, when I would pop back into my Instagram and just kind of scroll through things and messages and stuff, seeing those messages from you and seeing that people were still there supporting me even though I hadn't been there or posted anything in months, yeah, seeing that has meant the world. It really has. I'm trying hard to hold this together. Yeah, it's been a really hard year, but I feel like I'm at a point where I want to get back into things and do the things that I enjoyed and do the job that I thoroughly enjoy. I've just got to find a way of doing it for me. I'm gonna go now and get some food. I'll leave some links below to my shop and my Patreon if you do want to support me in any way more than just watching this. Then the option is there, but if not, completely fine. Thank you so much for watching the video and being here, basically. Yeah, I appreciate it a lot, and I'm really looking forward to getting back into things. It's been hard to do. It's just gonna be a bit messy and a bit all over the place for a bit. I hope you all have a lovely day, and I will speak to you again in my next video, whenever that will be and whatever that will be, because I have no idea yet. Bye 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 bye. Have you been a good girl, Bunny? Have you been a good girl waiting for Mama? Has Mama been talking to the camera? Yeah, and you've been a good girl. Hey. I didn't even say where we're going yet. Come back up here a minute. Up. Ooh. Sit down. You're probably hungry. Mama's hungry. Yeah? You're hungry, are you? So, shall we, if we go downstairs, we'll get food. I was going to say, and then we'll go in the garden. But you're up for food. Don't even need the second part.